So this is chapter 3, the Constitution. So Constitution is defined as a body of rules or precedents governing the affairs of a state, the fundamental law of the state upon which a government is organized, and provides the framework for the organization of the government. So basically, based on this definition, it is the body of rules, or yun yung basis, no, for a government to function, basically, no, parang ganun. The body of rules and maxims in accordance with which the powers or sovereignty are habitually exercised. So take note that the Constitution provides basic definitions of the rights of the people and the mechanisms of the effective operation of the government for the promotion of general welfare and common good. Basically, ito yung dito nakapaloob yung yung structure ng government natin, what are the existing rights sa ating government, what are the definitions now, because in law, the effectivity or the enforcement of the rules is based on how we define terms, no, in the law. For example, in terms of the definition of minors, iba ang definition natin ng minors from the definition of minors from another state or from another country. Just like in the United States, I think the age of when we say minors, for them ang minors yata is below 14 years old, pero sa atin the age of minority natin is yung below 18. So yun yung ibig sabihin, no? Iba yung definition natin, iba yung pag-intindi natin sa term ng minor, iba rin sa other state, and many others, no? Maraming mga definitions na nakapaloob sa constitution ng isang lugar o ng isang state. So what are the functions of the Constitution? Bakit ba tayo may Constitution? First is, as I've said, ito yung dito nakapaloob yung structure ng government natin. The basic framework of the government. Ano yung structure? Anong composition ng government? Ano yung mga branches ng government natin? Sino ang mga nasa kada branch ng government natin? Ano yung mga obligations nila? Ano yung mga functions nila? Ano yung mga qualifications nila, yung mga ganon, no? So dito rin nakapaloob yung regulation of the rights and freedom enjoyed by the individual for the common good. Ano yung mga constitutional rights natin, no? Sa Philippine Constitution, meron tayong Bill of Rights, meron tayong other constitutional rights also included there, but basically nakapaloob yun sa ating Article 2 or the Bill of Rights. The Constitution is also a protection of the people from government abuses, because the Constitution sets boundaries, no, on the rights and obligations not only of persons but also the government. The government sets the function of the Constitution sets the function of the government, but the Constitution also sets the limit on how the government should function, no? Para hindi abusuhin ng gobyerno yung binigay na power sa kanya ng ating Constitution. So there are different kinds of Constitution. Depende on paano mo siya i-classify. So here we have, if it is based on origin, saan siya nagmula, we have enacted or evolved constitution, or also known as conventional and cumulative constitutions. Pag sinabing enacted, this constitution is drafted and passed by a constituent assembly or granted by a sovereign to the people. Ibig sabihin, ang paggawa nitong constitution na ito is in accordance with the procedures set by law on how we create laws, no? While itong cumulative or evolved, walang ganong specific na procedure. Through time, nag-accumulate lang yung mga sets of rules, and ginamit lang siya as a rule in a state, usually by customs or traditions or decisions, no, sa mga elders, sa um, from sa ninuno o nunuan, o yung mga ganon. So naipasa, there is no formal creation, no, and formal publication or whatsoever. Naging batas lang siya sa lugar because of the length of time, no, na nagamit siya. We also have classification based on form, written versus unwritten constitution. So sa ngayon, our constitution is a written constitution because it is in writing, basically. So yung unwritten, ito yung mga noong unang panahon na there is really no means of writing, no, na naipapasa lang siya from generations to generations, na walang black and white proof, no, as to its existence and as to ano yung nakapaloob sa rules na yun. So yun yung based on form. So in the Philippines, ang evolution, no, ng ating constitution is the Malolos Constitution. Ito yung considered as our first recorded na constitution. Most likely during the early times in history, baka may mga unwritten constitutions yun sila doon, no? But we do not have, kasi nga unwritten siya, we do not have proof, wala tayong evidence on that, but only yung sa mga kwento ng ating mga elders. If you can recall your subject in history, we have topic on the Maragtas Code or the Code of Kalanchaw during the early stages in history, but these codes were proven to be a hoax, no? Hindi siya totoo, hindi siya fake siya, no? Fake siya na constitution daw ng mga ninuno natin, but it was found out that it was not. So because of that, ang pinaka-early na first na written rule ng Pilipinas goes back to 1899 during the Malolos Convention, and that we call the Malolos Constitution. It is the first Philippine Constitution, the first Republican Constitution in Asia, and it was drafted and adopted by the first Philippine Republic, which lasted from 1899 to 1901. So the picture there, no, that is a picture of the Malolos Convention, yung sa panahon ni Andres Bonifacio, na nagtipon-tipon sila sa Malolos para organisa ng isang gobyerno, no, that time. So that is the first recorded constitution in the history, even in the history in Asia, no. Yun siya yung pinakaunang Republican Constitution in Asia. Next is the Philippine Organic Act. Ito yung sa panahon na ng Amerika in 1902. It provided for the Philippine Assembly composed of Filipino citizens. So during the time ng mga Amerikano, di ba, if we can recall, the Philippines is given the opportunity to be represented kasi according to them, the Philippines is a separate state of the one of the states of the United States, in preparation for transition. transition na totally ibibigay sa Pilipinas yung kalayaan, no? And that is a promise of the Americans sa Filipinos. And during this and the second Philippine Organic Act was yung Philippine Autonomy Act of 1916, which included the first pledge of Philippine independence. No, so after, I think that was 12 years ba, yun yung 12 or 14, 1902 to 1916, kasi di ba yun yung promise ng America, in 12 years we'll give you transition na we will totally give you your independence, and through that the Philippine Autonomy Act of 1916 was created. These laws served as Constitution of the Philippines from 1901 to 1935, because in 1935 meron tayong bagong constitution na nagawa, and that was when the United States Congress passed the Philippine Independence Act through the 1934 Constitutional Convention. Yung Constitutional Convention, ito yung grupo ng mga members of different representation, different sectors, nagtipon-tipon para gumawa ng batas, para gumawa ng mag-draft ng constitution, no? And that was a year before the 1935 Constitution was enacted. So the Constitution na na-create ng Constitutional Convention ng 1934 was submitted to the President of the United States, kasi nga parang nabelong pa tayo dati sa US. So it was submitted for certification on March 25, 1935. And after that, it was ratified by the Filipino people. Ratification is through approving, through ira-ratify, no, ng mga members or ng mga Filipinos yung naipasang draft ng Constitution. It is either approve or disapprove sila sa bagong batas, sa bagong Constitution. So ipinasa yan for ratification, and it was on May 14, 1935 that it came into full force and effect. May 14 siya ni-ratify, and then effective, full force and effect in November 15, 1935, with the inauguration of the Commonwealth of the Philippines, nung pagsimula ng Commonwealth Government of the Philippines. If you can see the picture, that is Manuel Rojas signing the Constitution of the Philippines at the last session of the convention held on February 19, 1935. So the 1935 Constitution, may mga certain amendments to it, and that was during 1940 that it was amended by the National Assembly of the Philippines. So yung legislature natin, yung sa amendments ng 1935 Constitution, change niya yung structure ng Congress natin from unicameral to bicameral. Unicameral is isang chamber lang, bicameral is dalawang chambers yung assembly natin, just like how it is today, no? Bicameral Congress tayo, we have the Senate and the Congress, but we will discuss that when we reach the article discussing the legislative department. And then the amendment also changed the term of the president from 6 years. Na dati sa 1935 Constitution, 6 years ang term ng president without re-election, hindi siya pwedeng tumakbo ulit. But yung amendment ng 1935 Constitution introduced the new term of presidency, and that is 4 years, and pwede siyang magpa-re-elect isa pa, no? So after that, after the amendments in the 1935 Constitution, meron tayong Japanese-sponsored republic na gumawa naman nung 19 1943 Constitution natin, and this was during the World War II, no, or our Japanese-sponsored government. Yung Japanese-sponsored government natin that time nullified the 1935 Constitution and nag-create ng bagong type of government, no, ni-replace yung 1935 ng 1943 Constitution, and this was dubbed as the Second Republic of the Philippines, with Jose P. Laurel as the president. Nandyan sa picture. Okay? Then, the 1973 Constitution, ito naman, after nung 1943, itong 1973. So, ito naman, panahon naman ito ni Marcos. Nung 1972, through Presidential Decree number 86, ito, nag-create si Marcos ng Citizens Assembly. No, Citizens Assembly para ma-ratify yung newly drafted Constitution by means of viva voce vote in the place of secret ballots. So, ito kasi kasagsagan nung Plaza Miranda incident, no, nung pinasabog dun sa may sumabog na bomba sa Plaza Miranda noong 1971. Yun ang naging simula, no, ng pag-declare pag-decide ni Marcos na mag-declare ng martial law, because for him there is a threat, no, to the government, na baka i-overthrow ang government. That is why nag-declare siya ng martial law, sinuspend niya yung writ of habeas corpus, and ni-restore naman, binalik, no, on January 11, 1972 after public protests. But during that time, pinaratify niya na yung yung 1973 Constitution. So, it was Presidential Decree number 1081 na ang inisyu ni Marcos, no, declaring martial law on September 21, 1972. And Marcos stayed in force until 1981. When Marcos was re-elected, amidst of kasi may issue doon on the election that time, no, using the 1973 Constitution. Ang kalaban ni Marcos that time is si Cory. Ito, no, so dahil may mga movement na, no, on overthrowing the Marcos government, may mga revolution ng sinasagawa hanggang na nagkaroon ng EDSA revolution, na kung saan dun yung parang turning point, no, and probably the downfall of the Marcos government, because nung time na yon, because of the people power, napaalis sa pwesto si Marcos. And this time, I will not go into the details, no, during that time, because I think you have discussed this in your history, but to refresh your memory, you know, that was really the time when there is a parang naging transition, no, from a dictator to a democratic na government with Cory Aquino as the president. So nung si Cory na ang naging presidente, nag-issue si Cory ng Proclamation number 3, ito, suspending the 1973 Constitution, yung Constitution na ginawa nung time ni Marcos, because ang issue pa nga doon is hindi nga dumaan sa tamang proseso yung pag-ratify ng 1973 Constitution, because if we can go back, no, ang 1973 Constitution through viva voce voting siya. Viva voce voting is yung pag-raise lang ng hand. Sinong in favor dito, mag-raise ng hand, tapos bibilangin, parang ganon. So, during that time, there was really no formal ratification daw, because ang chismis, no, ang sabi-sabi dyan is the viva voce voting agreeing to the ratification of the 1973 Constitution was done, na parang sinabi lang daw sa kanila na sino ang gutom. For example, there are groups of people gathered for the ratification of the Constitution. So, sinabi daw during the gathering na sinong gutom dito. So, nag-raise sila ng hand. Siguro lahat nag-raise ng hand, no? Parati naman tayong gutom. Masarap kumain. Okay. So, nag-raise ng hand, binilang, and yun na daw ang ginawang basehan na ay ni-ratify na ang Constitution. No? So, hindi daw tama yung proseso ng pag-ratify. So, ang ginawa ni Cory, sinuspend niya yung some parts, certain provisions of the 1973 Constitution, and created a transitory constitution, or the Freedom Constitution. Parang yun yung naging temporary na constitution natin habang sinuspend yung 1973 Constitution, and while may Constitutional Commission tayo na kasalukuyan that time na gumagawa, no, nung bagong constitution. So, while they are creating a new constitution, yung Freedom Constitution ang naging ang ginagamit, no, ng government, and then dun na nagawa yung 1987 Constitution natin. It was drafted by the Constitutional Convention created by Corazon Aquino by virtue of Article 5, Proclamation Number 3, issued on March 25, 1986. So, itong Constitutional Commission na ito was composed of 15 Filipino citizens with recognized probity, known for their independence, yung mga kilalang personalities noon na siguradong may alam, and magandang representante ng kanilang mga fields, no, fields or sectors, no, ng lipunan. Merong siguro may representative ng mga dukha, representative ng mga manggagawa, mga ganon, no. So, the 1987 Constitution was ratified and became effective in 1987, February 2, 1987. Ito. And that is our Constitution even until today. So, anong talent nitong 1987 Constitution natin? We will discuss the 1987 Constitution on our next video.